If you've ever wanted to find the thing that would magically keep the passion alive and the desire in your relationship, then today's video is going to give you the exact steps you need to take. And it's so much easier than you're probably thinking that it is. I am Celine Remy, the Intimacy Angel.
And I'm Kevin Anthony, the Truth Warrior. And if you've ever felt that passion, that desire, that attraction starting to wane over time in your relationship, then make sure that you like, share, and subscribe.
Now, please understand that relationship going downhill is not the trajectory that it should go. While most people just expect it, it's not how it has to happen. That you can create a much different outcome for your relationship, and that passion and sexual energy and desire can still be alive even many years into a relationship.
So then the question is, how do you do that? Well, we have one of our best tips for you today on how to do that.
And the secret is the constant state of arousal.
Does that mean like a 24-hour erection?
That would be an interesting phenomenon.
I believe that would be a medical condition called priapism. No, that's not what we're talking about. But what we are talking about is how do you stay in a state where you are at least somewhat aroused all the time. And I don't mean an erection. We're talking about both men and women here. The thing is most people, when it's time for sex, they go, I have zero desire for sex right now. And somehow I gotta get to, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, I somehow have to get at least to a 7 or an 8 to make this happen, right? That is a very difficult thing for most people to do. So instead, what we've come up with, what we've figured out, what we've helped many, many couples do is instead of going from 0 to 7 or 8, how can you start from maybe like a 5? Like you're already at a 5, you have done nothing yet. And then you just have to get to that 7 or 8. It's a much smaller step that you have to make. So that's what we call the constant state of arousal. So how do you do that?
Well, number one, you have to understand that you don't have to be in the mood. You can create the mood. So it's up to you to change, how you feel and how you interact with your partner. Number two, you also need to understand that relationships need attention. The intimacy in the relationship needs some attention, just like a plant. It will need regular watering and sometimes a little fertilizer, a little pruning, and that's how the plant keeps growing and thriving. So if you have these in place and you understand that about your relationship, then it becomes much easier to keep that constant state of arousal. And then last but not least, you have to redefine what foreplay means to you. For most people, foreplay is the thing you do just when you get in the bedroom. But really, the foreplay is the time you have each time in between the times you make love. And what that means is the days that you are in the kitchen and at breakfast, there is an opportunity to still generate some sexual energy, some intimacy, some arousal, some connection, and that this whole period of time in between each time you have sex can be considered a gigantic foreplay.
Absolutely. So the idea here is that you're doing little things every single day to keep that arousal going. You're kind of nurturing the arousal little by little by little over time. So what does that look like? Well, that can look like a lot of things. For a man towards a woman, it could simply look like giving her appreciation, noticing the outfit that she has on, noticing the way she did her hair that day and saying, wow, your hair looks really beautiful today. Or maybe noticing the new earrings that she put on. I know this sounds really hard, guys, but come on. If you can't at least do those little things, you've got bigger problems, right? So those little things, those little appreciations, those little noticing her will make her feel beautiful and sexy. And when she feels beautiful and sexy, she generally also feels horny.
Well, the quickest way to her genitals is through her heart. So when you create that intimacy and when you activate her heart, the energy starts to flow to every part of her body, which is really what you want. Another thing to remember is that you are a sexual being, and so you want to bring in the concept of hugging and touching on a regular basis, like every single day. When you hug, when you kiss, do this for at least 6 seconds so that there is enough time for oxytocin to be released, for that connection to happen and to feel like, we are bonding on that physical level. And when the oxytocin gets released, it's the bonding hormone. People feel good, feel happier when they're higher on their oxytocin. It could be anywhere from like a hug, a kiss, a pat on the butt, a squeeze of the genitals, a squeeze of the breast, like depending on what you are comfortable with. It's to remind each other that you are a sexual being. And what's amazing about that is when you are doing that, you are not trying to get anywhere, but just activate that energy. What I mean by that is just because you are squeezing somebody's genitals doesn't mean then you have to do something about it or finish it. It is all about activating it and turning on that energy and then continuing and moving on with the day.
Yeah, now with this one, make sure that you have some discussions about what the person likes and what they're okay with. So for instance, some people may be perfectly okay with you walking up and squeezing her butt or squeezing her breasts on a regular basis. And some women really may not like that, like, hey, that's not my thing. Find out what her thing is. If it's a guy, he's most likely okay with that, but ask him anyway. You want to be doing things that actually turn them on, not turn them off. And that's very important.
I love that you're bringing this up, because if you're not sure, just ask your partner, what can I do? What are small things that would lit you up? And they'll let you know, and write down the list and make sure you do that every day. Make sure you speak your partner's love language. Make sure you have the intention every day to put a little bit of energy into that account of your passion, your intimacy of your relationship. And so if you have the intention of creating this constant state of arousal and take a step a day towards growing this, you are going to have this energy within you, which is going to make it so much easier when you are ready to take it somewhere else, to go from that place that you're at, maybe at that 5 rather than that 0, to that 10 where you're hoping to have fireworks in the bedroom.
Absolutely. Remember, you're building anticipation. As Celine said earlier, it doesn't have to go anywhere, and that's okay. Because you want to build that energy, you want to build that anticipation so that when it is time, you're already there. You might already be at a 7 or 8 because the entire time you've been building up towards it.
Remember, the most important, have no agenda. It is not about getting somewhere, it's just about tuning in to that energy that is always there. We hope today's video was inspiring and helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in our next video.